Hello creative cooks, welcome to another episode of the Creative Phebe Cooks channel. I'm Phebe and today we're making pastelon, also known as plantain lasagna. This dish is a nice balance of sweet, spicy, and lovely umami flavors. It is also budget friendly, perfect for meal prep, completely plant-based, and I'll show you how many wonderful ways you can have it all throughout the week to make your weekly meals interesting. Later on in this video, I'll be sharing my top tips when shopping for mushrooms, since they're a main ingredient in the making of this recipe. Plantain lasagna has become a staple in my diet to build up and maintain my muscle mass, and I'm super duper excited to share it with you. So let's begin by preheating the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper. Choose right plantains to make this recipe because they are softer and their sweetness will be necessary to enjoy this meal. I'll be starting off with 5 to 6 plantains. I used 6 plantains. You may need 5 depending on how big or small they are. These ones that I use are a tad bit riper than I would like because it makes it a bit harder to slice the plantains, but that's alright. Peel your plantains and slice each of them into 3 to 4 long strips depending on their thickness. I have a link below on my top shopping tips for plantains. If you know me and have watched my plantain recipe videos, you know I love plantains. So I've loved making this dish a few times now before knowing that it is a Puerto Rican dish. Thanks to Gaz on the Gaz Oakley channel, where I watched him make a plantain lasagna a few years ago. In many recipes, I noticed that the plantains are fried to make this lasagna, but I prefer laying mine on the parchment lined baking sheet and lightly brushing them with coconut oil, which makes the plantains taste tropical and will help the plantains absorb the juicy flavor of the lasagna filling I'll be making next. That means using very little oil. Bake the plantain slices for 15 minutes, flip them, and continue baking for another 15 minutes. For even baking and to prevent the strips in the back of the baking sheet from burning, depending on the setup of your oven, rotate the baking sheets 180 degrees after flipping the plantain strips. If you subscribe to a gluten-free diet like myself, this is a perfect meal prep option because you can use the plantain slices instead of wheat-based or processed lasagna sheets to make this dish gluten-free. While the plantains are baking, I'll be making the filling. For the filling, slice up a few aromatics that would include onions, garlic, fennel, and portobello mushrooms. Fennel bulb is also known as anise, but different from star anise. Don't skip out or replace the fennel when making this filling. It lends a slightly sweet and licorice flavor to this dish that complements the other ingredients well to render a fabulous flavor profile. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe so you get notified each time I share plant-based and gluten-free recipes that would help you achieve your diet and fitness goals. In my next episode, I'll be sharing 3 simple recipes that don't require any cooking that you can add to your next meal prep session. So be sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on that. With a large cast iron skillet on high heat, add in the coconut oil, together with the chopped onions, fennel, garlic, fresh oregano sprigs, and habanero pepper. You may add little or less habanero pepper, depending on how spicy you want this. But be mindful, we're going to be adding some red pepper sauce later on in this video when assembling the lasagna, so be careful about how much spice you add to this filling, since the red pepper sauce has a good amount of spice in it too. Then flavor the aromatics with cinnamon powder, ground black pepper, ground coriander, and coarse sea salt. Stir and saute these combo for 5 minutes. By this time, you will encounter some form of aromatherapy, as your entire kitchen will be filled with the toasting aroma of the spices and the caramelizing aromatics. But keep a close watch on these goodies as they're sauteing so they do not burn. Stir the sauteing aromatics every now and again to prevent them from sticking to the skillet. Then add in the tomato paste and bay leaf and continue sauteing for 3 minutes until the scent of the aromatics gets smoky from the tomato paste deepening in flavor. Do not rush this step in the cooking process. It is highly essential to help build up and deepen the flavors of the sauteing aromatics and spices. This is what will cause the taste of this plantain lasagna to linger on your tongue long after you have feasted on it, making you feel well satiated and crave more of it. That's the goal, right? Next, stir in the sliced mushrooms. Coat them with the smoky sauteing goodness and allow them to sweat to release their liquid and aroma. This will give the pastelon a deep umami and nourishing flavor. Let them saute for about 3 or 4 minutes as they do so. After the mushrooms have wilted and well combined into the aromatics, add in some vegetable stock. Stir well and bring to a slow bubble. Reduce the heat to medium and let the contents continue to bubble for 5 to 6 minutes. I have listed my homemade vegetable stock recipe in the description box below. As you can see, that's quite a good list of ingredients already. To help you list out all the ingredients you need for this recipe for your next meal prep session, get the full details on my blog and download my free grocery planner using the link in the description box below to make your next grocery trip short, sweet, and efficient. And if you're out of meal prep ideas to support your current diet or lifestyle goals, don't know where to start, or feeling overwhelmed with a busy schedule, use the link below to book a complimentary coaching call, and my team and I will be glad to get you a customized weekly or bi-weekly meal planner at the end of each coaching call session. Sign up using the link below and save your spot this August. Aside from mushrooms, I'm using lentils as another building block to the making of this filling. I sorted through and soaked 250 grams of green lentils overnight to make them softer and cook in less time. Lentils, as you know, are high in protein and other essential nutrients that will make this lasagna filling outstanding and your body will love, especially if you work out a lot. After draining the lentils, add into the skillet and stir gently to coat the lentils with the cooking liquid. Continue cooking for 8 to 9 minutes until the lentils become split, yet a bit firm, and the bubbling stock has slightly thickened and reduced. I would not suggest using red lentils for this recipe. They would turn too mushy and wouldn't have the proper firmness for this filling. Taste to adjust seasonings and turn off heat. It's about time to make this lasagna, but here are my top tips when shopping for mushrooms. Aim to shop where you can freely pick from a fresh batch at your grocery store, instead of opting for pre-packaged ones. For portobello mushrooms, you want to make sure that the mushroom cap is dry and free from bruises. Turn the cap over and make sure the thin radial lines, known as the gills, are clean, dry, and free of insects or worms. The stem should also be dry and firm. When storing mushrooms, make sure they are dry. Keep them in a paper bag and cool in your fridge. They do not like moisture unless you're cooking them. There are over 14,000 species of mushrooms, each having unique flavor profiles that can either make or break your recipe depending on what you're using it for and what you're pairing it with. I have a video link below by enquiries where Chef Adrian will help you know how to use which mushroom for what recipe. I definitely learned a lot from that video, and I'll be watching it again. At this point, both the baked plantains and filling are done cooking, and you now have two options. You can either let them cool down to ease the assembling process of the lasagna on the same day, or store each of them in glass storage containers and refrigerate them when they reach room temperature to work on the lasagna the next day. I did the latter because I was too tired to continue filming this recipe, and in your case, you may need to rest or prepare the remaining ingredients to make the pastelon. Now let's take this lasagna to another level. Although all the prepared elements taste great, I felt like this lasagna would appreciate some brightness. So I'm chopping up some kale and parsley. If you have other greens like oregano, you may add that too, since that's already in the filling as well. But you don't want it to be too overwhelming, so be cautious of that. If you need shopping tips for kale, check out my last video where I also shared my recipe for gluten-free burger buns that you may use for all your burger festivities this summer and beyond. Instead of using tomato sauce, I'll be using my favorite red pepper sauce, slightly spicy but big on umami, which you can also use as a pizza sauce, pasta sauce, sandwich spread, or even a good base for a tasty stew. I have the link for that in the description box below as well. On the next day, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and prepare a large casserole dish to make the lasagna. Spread some red pepper sauce in the bottom of the casserole dish, then top with a lentil mushroom filling, plantain strips, some chopped kale, and parsley, or however you feel like layering all the elements. If you prefer tomato sauce, feel free to use it, but if you use this red pepper sauce, once the lasagna is baked, I noticed something. The sauce tastes like ketchup, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So I suggest you give it a try. After the second layer of plantains, aim to spread some red pepper sauce on it so the chopped greens have something to stick to. If you're looking for the ultimate nourishing vegan plant-based meal prep dish with mountains of flavor, this is it. Add it to your meal planners now so you don't forget. Continue stacking the elements until the plantain strips are coated with the red pepper sauce, then sprinkle on a bit of chopped parsley and kale. Bake this goodie for 35 minutes until the contents are bubbling hot, until the top layer is well browned. And because we creative cooks love efficiency on this channel, make a large batch of this plantain lasagna. Cut it into squares and freeze them so that one fine day, when you don't feel like cooking, you can warm up a square or two of this scrumped delicious lasagna and pair with your choice of steamed grain or a side salad to satisfy your hunger. After baking, set the lasagna to cool for about 15 minutes, then serve as you like. That could be with steamed rice, millet, a summer salad, fresh sprouts, or all by itself. You can also share it with your loved ones, neighbors, friends. This is a great meal for sharing as well. This week, I'll be having this plantain lasagna with fresh lentil sprouts, steamed millet, and roasted vegetables on alternate days. That would be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday to keep my plate looking interesting. Feel free to pair this pastelon with any of the anti-inflammatory drinks I shared 2 episodes ago. Creative Cooks, that's one epic plant-based vegan plantain lasagna or pastelon. If you're Puerto Rican, tell me in the comments what you think about this plant-based pastelon version. I'm excited to know in the comments how it turned out for each of you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll chat again in my next episode. Goodbye.